snake entities. So snake entities exist in a different dimension and reality, and they come through open negative portals in the land in this time-space reality. This energy likes to enter into a person through their third eye and interferes with the person's mind while asleep. Now, this energy can be found hiding around homes looking for a host, and it takes its time to look for the right attaching mechanism. So this entity is not in a hurry to attach. It definitely will take its time to look for the right person and the right attaching mechanism. Some of the attaching mechanisms for snake entities, basically these guys are looking for someone with a highlighted ego. They want to find people who think they deserve more than what they are currently getting in their reality. This energy needs the mind to be in a state of an inflated ego, so it allows this energy in while asleep. Once somebody has an inflated ego, if they truly believe they deserve more than they're getting, and they feel like they are just more special and they just damn well deserve more, this energy loves that type of highlighted ego. And it will actually take the time to find the right person, and it will actually stalk that person for long enough to make sure it's the right attaching mechanism for this entity. If they can't attach within a few weeks, it will leave, but most entities can't wait that long, so this one has more waiting time than most. This energy seems to be able to go longer in between feeds, just like physical snakes. Usually around 3 to 4 weeks, this energy will start fading if it's not able to find someone to host on. But at this stage, once it gets to that point, it will usually just attach to an animal. So I usually find that these things, if they haven't had a feed for around 3 weeks, it will start to look for maybe a weaker food source, like an animal to attach to. But 3 to 4 weeks, they can actually go without a feed. So it does give them a lot more stalking time to find the right host. Now, the results in a person, if a snake entity attaches, this energy will usually attach while asleep. It sometimes will actually attach while someone is awake, but it's very, very unusual for that to happen. So they usually attach while someone's asleep. It enters through the fourth dimension into the mind grid of the person. If someone has a highlighted ego, it basically holds a different charge within the mind grid. And these things can actually sense that different charge in the mind grid from a mile away. This charge creates a vibrational tone that these energies are attracted to, because it means that the mind grid has a charge that will allow the same vibrational tone to attach. And snakes hold the same vibrational tone, so they are a match to that highlighted ego. It will then coil up in the person's third eye, but at a fourth dimensional level. The person could find themselves having epic dreams, and that this energy will start to feed the person fake keys and codes in order to play out the energy's agenda. Now, this energy is very, very clever, and it has a very high level of consciousness. It usually has an agenda of fame and fortune, which I find really interesting. This energy actually wants fame and fortune, and it will use the host as a puppet. If the snake is powerful enough, it will actually start to take more and more hold in the person and can actually start speaking for the person. But that's if it has enough power. Otherwise, it will just start manipulating slowly until it's big enough and has enough power to start running the show even more. The person at first will feel more empowered when this energy attaches. It actually likes to attach and kind of feeds the person empowerment energy. So the person just starts to feel actually more empowered once this thing attaches. People will feel like that they just feel more positive, and this whatever energy is kind of coming through, they'll feel like it's a positive ally, and they will be getting great ideas coming through as well. So they'll feel like this energy is really positive. They'll feel like something's kind of around them, maybe not attached, but they'll feel like they're hooking into some really cool energy and having some really great ideas. Now, after a while, they'll start doing snake-like things to manipulate others to do what's best for them, and they will plant mind seeds in others in a way that most people will feel a bit strange. Even when they have said something okay on the surface, people will just start walking away feeling a little bit weird. So it's a really snaky kind of energy, and that, you know, it kind of comes in, feeds the person some empowerment, makes them feel like they're having some great ideas, and they start to feel really good. And then without even knowing it, the person will actually start to play out some snaky manipulating things on others, and they'll be blinded to that manipulation. They'll feel like they're being really high vibe and they're not doing anything wrong, because they'll start to actually convince themselves that doing shitty things and manipulating others in order for them to get where they want is actually okay. They'll kind of convince themselves that it's no big deal, and they'll start to do, you know, some really shitty things to others in order to get what they need. Now, people can sometimes also see this energy operating in someone else, and it's usually through different facial expressions. They'll start to just see some really weird facial expressions coming through, and they might even see a quick snake eye flash, and they might feel like they're tripping. Now, not everyone sees the snake eye flash, but it occasionally can happen, especially if it's a partner of somebody's that's this energy is attached to. The partner might see that quick flash of snake eye, but otherwise you can kind of see this playing out in certain people just because they start stepping out and they start becoming more and more like active, and they start trying to kind of become more famous or well known, and the way that they communicate might just start to look a bit strange, because they'll start to have weird facial expressions or weird kind of ways of expressing themselves that just doesn't feel authentic, and very, very strange movements in the face where you kind of just go, oh, that kind of looked a bit strange. That's sometimes how this energy can actually come out and be seen physically. Now, these things aren't as common as some of the others, but you definitely will come across them from time to time. They're becoming more and more common. They are getting more common mainly because of the breeding that's going on, and that may end up as a plague at some stage, I can imagine, if this continues to go on with the breeding that's happening. Now, I didn't want to express this in the property clearing course, if you have done the property clearing course, because I didn't want people to take this training out of fear. So I just kind of touched on it briefly, but you know, I do definitely want you to be aware that this energy is a very, very tricky energy, and it is becoming more and more common. So you definitely will come across this at one time or another. Now, this energy is one of those energies that can hibernate for lifetimes. So it can attach to someone and hibernate for lifetimes, but it will only do that if the host has the ability to carry out this entity's agenda. So the only times I've come across this particular entity sort of holding on for lifetimes is when I've found that this entity has been attached to someone who has the potential to carry out this particular entity's agenda. And so it kind of knows that if it just can hold on and wait for a few lifetimes, that this person will then be in the position to carry out the agenda that it wants through fame and fortune. So it can actually spend lifetimes waiting to carry out its own personal agenda, which I find incredibly fascinating. This is quite rare. It's not a very common thing for an entity to lay dormant for lifetimes just so it can finally have its moment of glory doing whatever its agenda is. But this particular entity will do that. So it's very, very interesting. The people, when I've been doing hands-on healing and I've found this energy coming up and we've found that it's been there for lifetimes, in those particular moments, it's almost like I've had their lifetimes flash before me like a film in fast forward. And I could actually see how this energy was attracted to a certain personality trait within this person. So this entity then has attached, knowing that it was going to take a few lifetimes for this person to be in the right position to carry the agenda out, but has taken that opportunity to literally lay dormant for quite a few lifetimes. So it's fascinating. It's fascinating how long these entities can attach for. And the reason for that is time actually is not a real thing. It's only in this particular reality and dimension that we have time. So to an entity, time is an illusion, and spending a few lifetimes dormant to be able to carry out its plan is almost like a little quick nap, like having a little nap and then waking up from a nap. It doesn't really matter to this type of energy. So it can wait lifetimes if it needs to have its agenda played out.